Hello and welcome to Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north. So Christmas is over for another year, and that got me thinking to how the outside conditions, the weather conditions, really affect the tropical plants and the greenhouse. So I thought I'd do a video on what I really hate about UK winters. At another point in the future I may talk about what I love about UK winters, but I reckon that'll be a really short one. So let's jump in. And we are in. Okay, we're going to start with number one, great place to start. And the first thing that pops into mind is the lack of sunshine. So what we're talking about here is not that the sun never comes out. It does come out at various points during the winter months, and on those occasions everybody's spirits lift. But I'm talking about the length of time that we have drab, overcast conditions. I think the UK is particularly known for its overcast conditions and the fact that for large portions of the year, large portions of the day, we have very low-lying heavy cloud. It's something to do with the Gulf Stream, where it whips all that moisture off the Atlantic Ocean and then it lands on the UK and it just brings all that cloud with it. I've no doubt when you get further east, in fact pretty much wherever I've gone in the world, I've seen more blue skies, a higher portion of blue skies than you get in the UK. So I think that's one of the things that really gets people down, and of course the plants hate it because you don't have that warming effect of the sun throughout the day. And when I do in fact get the sun, even if the temperatures are below 5 degrees Celsius outside, it really does warm the greenhouse up, it dries things out, and it makes such a difference. The second one on my list is to do with the same kind of thing. We're talking about lack of light intensity. If you don't get the sun, then of course you don't get that light intensity. Yes, I have grow lights, but they are not a patch on the sunshine. When you get the sunshine through the roof, you really get an idea without having a light meter, a lux meter. Without having that to hand, you can see straight away what effect the sun has when it's out and it's shining through those windows. Even though I've got pretty much permanent shading up there with all this bubble wrap that's on here, I do find that the lights from the grow lights disappear. You don't even know that the grow lights are on. So that tells you straight away that the intensity of the light from the actual sun is far in excess of the grow lights that I've got in here. I know they're not expensive grow lights, maybe some really expensive grow lights would make a difference, but the ones that I've got anyway, at least, get the sun out. The difference is quite startling. So that lack of intensity really does affect the plants. Of course, it affects all our moods as well. I'm sure you've all heard of SAD, seasonal affective disorder. I don't know how serious this is in some people. Certainly for me it has an effect. I'm not saying I get depressed, but you can get quite down and miserable, can't you, with the sunshine just not making an appearance for months on end. I think anybody would. So that's number two on my list, is the lack of light intensity. You can see it in the plants straight away. As soon as we get some sunny days, they really do perk up because they dry out. They're not constantly moist, because don't forget, these are tropical plants. They don't want to be wet all the time. I know I've got one or two exceptions, but for the most part they really do like to dry out at the roots before they get a water again. Third on my list is the average temperatures. So the average temperatures are of course very low at this time of year. So we're at the end of December, and on average I'd say the temperatures are somewhere between 2 degrees Celsius and about 7 or 8 degrees Celsius on a good day. I think today we're somewhere around about 5 degrees Celsius. Now once you get to those kind of temperatures, the greenhouse heating is on permanently. So I've got one side at roughly 15 degrees, one side at 12 degrees. But it's not quite as simple as that, because the rate that the greenhouse loses heat through the various walls and the roof is probably higher than the rate of the heater heating it up. So you don't actually get that nice uniformity all throughout the greenhouse. What you do actually get are pockets of cold. So you're going to get casualties through that. It's not like heating a house. It's nowhere near as insulated as the inside of a house. This does have quite a startling effect on some of these plants. And even just a degree can make quite a difference. Just showing you my Escananthus hot flash over here in the corner while we're at it. gorgeous, gorgeous plant. And this one is one that doesn't appear to be affected. In fact, it doesn't actually like to be in the sun. It likes a shady spot. So that one doesn't appear to be affected by the cold. But some of the begonias will be. And you can see already, like the whitey eye is not looking that happy at the moment. It's getting 1 or 2 yellow leaves. And I know for a fact, if I put the temperatures up by 2 degrees, that will start to grow again. And the same is happening with Listada. It's getting 1 or 2 dying leaves on me. Doesn't happen when the temperatures are a little bit higher. But at this particular moment in time, I'm not inclined to increase the temperatures just because of the astronomical cost of energy at the moment. I'm trying to keep it down. So we'll see how long I hold out on that before I actually give in and turn it up a notch or 2. We'll just have to see how that goes. So that's number 3 on the list. Number 4 on my list of what I hate about UK winters. Well, I love all the Christmas thing. Of course I do. Who doesn't? I love all the Christmas lights. I think the Christmas lights really brighten everything up, especially when you've got hours of daylight which are really, really short. Especially on a rainy day, it can actually be practically dark at 3 o'clock in an afternoon, and then it's only coming light at like 9 o'clock in the morning, which doesn't give you a great length of time during the day to actually get out there and do anything. Your day is really, really reduced. But once the Christmas lights go in January, even though I know the days are getting marginally longer, I think it's something like 2 minutes a night, something like that. I can't remember the exact amount, but it's not very much. And during that time, it is really, really miserable because all the Christmas lights are finished and it's really, really dark. One of the plus points, of course, is we have these beautiful cyclamen. And look at this, my pleurathalis, which I absolutely hated for like 3 years, has decided it's going to give me a super duper show this year. I've got loads of flower spikes on it, and you know how that happened? I neglected it. I shoved it under a bench, did nothing with it. So there's a lesson for me. Don't touch them and they do better. The more I maul with them, the less well they do. So that's the next one on my list. Let's move on. So number 5 on what I hate about UK winters, slugs and snails. They are forced to come inside, and especially, you can just see a little bit of damage there on this bougainvillea. Quite a bit of damage there, and you can see also down there that I've put some slug pellets down there. I've finally given in and put the slug pellets down there. At least it's not going to damage any other animals. I know that if anything gets at it, it's going to be a pest, and it's not something I want in the greenhouse. So when I bring the pots in, like for example this ailing brugmansia, ailing again just because it's missing light intensity, it's just about struggling on at this time of year. It will start to gradually get better as February goes into March. I've pruned it right down again just to get it into the greenhouse, but you can see some slug pellets down in the bottom there. But when you bring these things in, they've been out all summer long, and of course, even if I manage to get rid of any slugs and snails that's actually in the pot, over time, a little bit warmer in here, you might find that there are eggs in there that have escaped your attempts at killing them off, and of course they hatch out. I believe slugs can lay like in excess of 500 eggs. Well, where are they all going to go? They're going to go all over my greenhouse, and I think I'm on top of it now, but I did have an awful lot of slugs in the greenhouse during the autumn time. Same happened with the Enseti over there, brought that in, and of course I'm sure that had the same effect. The same number of slugs and snails. No snails actually, I've only seen slugs to be honest, but that's what happens when you bring things in from outside. So it's not really a sterile environment, even though I'd like it to be. And yes, I particularly hate the fact that I've got to get all this kit on. I have to keep continually changing clothes because it's so cold outside. Not too bad in here, but when I go outside, I like to be well dressed for the elements. So yeah, sometimes my bed looks like I have a jumble sale going on there. I'm selling some clothes off because I've had to continually change throughout the day. So the whole clothing thing I can't stand. Your fingers begin to lose any kind of use after probably down below, I think 5 degrees Celsius. After that, then they're just too numb, they're too painful in order to do anything of any worth. I'm trying to paint my fence outside. I can't paint it because it won't dry out and I can't get any dry days. So that's something else that I don't like about it. In terms of plants, if I do decide to come into the greenhouse, then it's a whole wardrobe change in order to get myself in the state that I will be able to come in and get on with things. So yeah, that's something else that I hate about UK winters. If you can relate to any of this, stick it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from people. And of course, something else that I'm sure everybody hates about UK winters, or of course if you're in another country you might just have something similar, is the cost of heating. So in here we've got it at 15.7, and over in the cooler side, which will be kept at 12 degrees, but at the moment I've got it at 15. You can just about see it through there, and that's because I have the curtains open that is actually cutting off part of the greenhouse or sectioning off part of the greenhouse. But as soon as I have that open, then that heater down there will kick in and make sure that the whole greenhouse is 15.7 degrees. But that of course equates to a very expensive energy bill, and although my gas bill that I heat the house with isn't actually that bad, because as my wife's fond of telling me, I actually care more about the plants than I care about the people in the house. Now, she doesn't actually say that, I just made that bit up, but I do really try to keep the house so that it's only the rooms that we're in that are warm and the rest of the house is quite cold. But in here of course I can't do that, otherwise the plants will die. So that cost of energy is going up and up and up and up, and of course we know that at this particular time, because of COVID, we should introduce that as a new phrase in the dictionary, because of COVID, because that seems to be the reason behind everything that's going wrong at the moment. But because of COVID, energy prices throughout the whole world have gone up. My bills are absolutely astronomical at the moment. In fact, I'll tell you what they are. They're actually £250 a month. That's for the whole house as well as the greenhouse. If anybody's paying more than that, I'd love to hear it. But that's what I'm paying, and I'm trying to reduce it by being very careful in the house. I've reduced the temperatures in the warm side slightly. I would love to reduce them even more, and if I can't get it down anymore, then I'm going to have to look at doing something rather drastic. So that's either going to be changing what's going on in the warm side, so that I either grow cooler growing plants, which would be a shame, especially when you can see what's going to come here with this hippeastrum and the Thunbergia and that beautiful Escananthus in the corner and the beautiful, although these particular nepenthes will actually go lower than that. But all the different things that I've got going on in here, I would hate to lose them. However, the other option that I've got is to actually put some polycarbonate up, and that's what I'm looking into. It's going to be a huge job. It won't be without expense, but I'm going to look at how I can actually put some polycarbonate on the inside of the greenhouse, inspired by one of Ed's videos, one of Ed's Orchids videos, when he showed how to do it. So I think I can probably have a go at that myself at some point if I get around to it. So yes, energy prices is a big thing, and that's another reason why I hate UK winters. And if you, like me, have a dog or a pet that needs to go out frequently, that's another reason I don't like it, because of course as soon as he comes in again, it's always wet and muddy outside. Then you've got towels down, you've got mats down, and of course he somehow manages to avoid them and put muddy paw prints all over the floor. That's another reason that I don't particularly like UK winters. He does in fact like to come in here into the greenhouse when I'm doing my jobs in here or filming or doing whatever I'm doing, and because I can't allow him to come in and just give him free rein because there's so many things he can grab hold of and run off with, I tend to open these double doors, and I have like a pen that I can put half a pen there, and he can come and sit down and watch me without getting at anything. Of course I can't do that in winter, can I? Because that would mean having the doors open. So what I have to do is leave him in the house, and I really don't like to do that. I didn't buy him just to leave him on his own. So that's another reason. What I tend to do then is just stay in the house until somebody else is there, and I never actually get round to coming out here. So that is another big thing that I don't like about it. Never had that in the past because never had pets, but now we've got pets, and it's an absolutely wonderful thing to have a little dog. It's something that's completely changed our lives for the better, but there is a payoff, or a trade-off I should say. That is of course that you can't keep your house as clean as you did before. So next on my list is the fact that the plants in here just limp along. We know that all the streps end up having a bit of a rest at the end of the year. We know that the Brugmansia and the Bougainvillea give up. You can see over here this particular Streptocarpus is not looking too happy at the moment, all to do with the weather, all to do with the lack of light. There is nothing really that enjoys the fact that the light levels are really low and they don't get warmed by the sun. this Tradescantia tricolour, I mean, just look at it. It's not happy at all at 12 degrees. It's looking really miserable. And I know from experience that it will come back as soon as the light levels come back. Some plants do like it. We know that the cyclamen likes it. We've just talked about the Pleurophyllus seems to be enjoying it. The ferns seem to like it, but we're talking about the things that don't like it. I'm continually picking things off plants, dead leaves off orchids. You can see over here, you can see on this one, these black things coming off. They just really don't like it. You're going to get more pests and diseases at this time of year. You can see some of the leaves blackening. You're going to get more pathogens in the stale, stagnant, moist air. Nothing ever dries out. The plants just about hold on, and that's something that I really don't like about this time of year. If I could improve the cloud cover, that would make such a difference. If we could blow away those clouds, even if it was just for an hour a day, it would cheer everybody up and give everybody that little boost that they need through the winter months. And that leads me into the humidity, because of course the humidity is always high. At the moment we've got 78, and that's without the fogger being on. The fogger's not been on for months on end. So although plants like humidity, they still like to dry out. They still like that warmth. And if you combine lower temperatures with high humidity, then you're asking for trouble. This is where we end up with loads of diseases, the stagnant air combined with the lower temperatures, combined with the humidity. It just doesn't bode well for any kind of tropical plant, especially orchids. Humidity, not a good idea at this time of year. If I could lower the humidity, and the only way of lowering it is by raising the temperature or by getting the sun on the greenhouse, which of course I can't do much about. So yeah, that's another thing that I don't like about UK winters. Okay, so a very whingy video there about what I hate about UK winters. Please put it in the comments anything that you can relate to or anything that you think I've missed off. Of course there are some good things, but I'm only going to save those for another video. So if you like a bit of a whinge, I think you should go and watch this video about what I hate about growing orchids. All my videos aren't all whinging, believe me. Well, hopefully they're not anyway. So if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one very soon. And if I don't get a chance to say it, have a really good New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.